Hello everyone and welcome to DBF1 rounds 13 and 14 at season 6 tonight. It's Imola and Monza. We're currently watching Dark Shadow as we come under the 10-minute mark in race number 1's qualifying. It is currently Lewis Craig leading the way on provisional pole, a 16 flat, followed closely behind the season 5 champion Sheck Waste with a 16 free. The order a bit spiced up at the moment. Gamer James doing well in 4th place with Deck and Tony 6th and 7th as Dark Shadow crosses the line. It's a good lap from Kaya, doesn't move him up any positions, but around about 4 tenths of improvement. I think a few drivers on laps at the moment. We'll see if anyone near the front is. We'll stick with James. James currently 4th place, his 2nd season in DBF1. We'll give him the view. He's not improving at the moment through the first sector, but we'll stick with him and see if he can improve that time through the second and third sectors. James obviously picked up the most improved driver award last season in his rookie season. Started off the season fairly troublesome. It wasn't the best start, but obviously his first time dipping into the F1 game as he invalidates his lap time there. We'll see if anyone else is starting a lap. I think Daniel is on a lap here. We'll see his split time. But yeah, just talking about James, the second half of last season was fantastic, and he's been good throughout as well. The early phases of the first half of the season. Now Daniel, he's looking for an improvement here. He's about 6 tenths up, trying to challenge Lewis Craig. He's a second off Lewis, so he's got a long way to go in this third sector, does the Ferrari driver. He'll want a good result tonight with 2 tracks in Italy. Round the final corner, the final real corner, Daniel will go. The Manxman, what's it going to be on the run up to the line? It's 3rd place, 4 tenths off pole. Should get at least one more go at it to try and challenge Lewis. Jordan looks like he's improving just by 2 tenths though, but he is on the mediums and he's already done a lap on those mediums. On 4th place, a 16.6, a very impressive lap time on those mediums. We'll see, can he get closer to Lewis before he finally switches over to the soft compounded tyre with a few minutes to go in the session. The Williams driver picked up 3 race victories last season, hasn't translated through to season 6, but we'll see as Jake jumps up the order to 4th. That's a great lap from Jake, and Jordan goes P2, 2 tenths off Lewis on the medium compounded tyres. And I know Lewis's lap was done on the softs. Is Jordan someone to watch out for pole position here? Chris Johnson, I think, is just gone up into 6th place, which is a good lap from him. Wet Lemon's just about to start a lap. Is Tony on a lap? I think Tony is on a lap. Obviously, Wet Lemons, we want to wish him a warm welcome to Dive Bomb F1. This is his first ever DBF1 Grand Prix. Obviously, everyone in the lobby knows Wet Lemons Sean very well. He's been part of the Gran Turismo series we did a few months ago, and it's good to see him back in the cockpit of an F1 car, and we'll see what he can do later on as CJH goes pole with a 16 flat. He knocks Lewis into P2. And the driver that was late joining the session and picked up 2 race victories last week, showing his form. He is well and truly up for tonight and trying to grasp that title as Lewis goes even quicker. A 15.7 as Baza coming up to the line now. What will it be for Baza? I think he must have invalidated there because he's not moved up any positions. But Lewis Craig picked up a 15.7 there, a massive improvement from the Scotsman. Didn't have 2 great races last week. Obviously, is only 1 podium away from becoming the joint all-time podium record holder in Dive Bomb. But CJ, absolutely flying in his first lap, 16 flat. We'll see what he can do later on. I think Deck was on a lap as well, was he? Yeah, it looks like Deck is on a lap. Deck obviously had a good race last week until a bit of catastrophe struck with Darky, and that's why Darky's at the back. He's going to be starting this race from 15th with a qualifying ban. Scottish Goat as well had to retire, but this is his risk race, so he will score double points if he finishes in the points tonight. So Scottish Goat got some work to do in the race, but he was in the practice session on Monday and has some good form and some good pace. So Scottish Goat will be one to watch out for around about 8th or 9th place for some good points in the risk race. Obviously he'll score double points tonight, but Deck on his lap. Coming round now the final few corners. He's kept it on the island between the white lines. What will it be now on the run up to the line? Obviously 2 race wins previously, and he's up into 4th place, and that is some good form and good lap time in the last few races for Deck. And he's obviously one of the drivers in DB2, and he's looking to secure that title as quick as he possibly can. Is anyone else on a lap? I think James is pushing, so we'll stick with James. He's 2 tenths up in the second sector. He needs a lot of time to try and move up a few positions off the fourth row of the grid mainly. He'll be looking to challenge his teammate if he can. Obviously only 3 tenths the difference, so shouldn't be too much of an ask for James. Someone you'd expect to be around 7th, 8th or 9th. What will it be? He'll open up the DRS for a short boost, and it's P4, second row of the grid, and Gamer James is looking like he's going to be one to upset the order here in Imola in the early stages of qualifying. We've got under 4 minutes to go. The pressure is ramping up. The midfield are trying their best to mount a challenge to the front runners, and I think everyone else is kind of in the pits now except Daniel P. Wheelnut, so we'll stick with Daniel on his lap as we'll get him the stream shared, and we'll run through the championship order very quickly when we get a moment to. Daniel though looking very smooth through the first few corners in the sector, and he's improving by around about a tenth, just under a tenth, so he's got all the opportunity in the world here, Daniel, to try and mount a challenge to the likes of Jordan for a second row grid start. Obviously runner-up in Season 5, Daniel in his rookie season. He struggled in the early phases, but he's picked up some good results in the last few weeks. The mid-season break, maybe what Daniel and the likes of Daniel and Jake and Chris needed to regain their focus. Obviously Chris picked up a podium a few weeks ago, which was kind of a shock to many and to himself. He kind of was 10th and downwards recently in the beginning of the season, but he's picked up some good results in the last few weeks now. Daniel though, round the final rail corner, got a little bit of ERS to play with here, more than others have had, and it's pole position, provisional pole from Daniel. A sneaky lap from the Ferrari there. He had a lot more ERS in the battery in that final part of the lap compared to the others that we noticed. And well, Daniel's on provisional pole. And could we have a Ferrari on pole in Imola, in Italy, for the 13th round of Season 6? Daniel mounting a challenge as best he can. And we'll see, is Lewis Craig is on a night lap? Is he the furthest driver round? I don't think so. I think Jordan is a bit further round. Maybe even Wet Lemons. Wet Lemons is going to be the first driver to get round and begin his lap. He'll try and avoid all the traffic. We'll go on board with the Alpine. It's only the first time this season we've got 2 Alpines on the grid. Wet Lemons now coming into the first turn, breaks as late as he possibly can, swoops through the 2 curves, lovely, and he keeps it steady for now. He'll get on the overtake button through turns 5 and 6 up to turn 7 Tulsa. He's keeping it smooth, not the quickest, but obviously someone that's not raced much in the last few weeks. You'd imagine this will just be knocking all the rust off these few laps before the race begins. He's down in 10th place, and his natural ability would be up the front and fighting for wins. We'll see what he can do though. Round the swooping triple left-hander into the double right now. You want to take as much of the curb on the right as you can, and he does that beautifully. Sean up the hill now into the chicane. What is it going to be? 8/10 improvement. So it is a massive difference in lap time compared to his previous lap, and it could put him around about 5th place. We'll see what the Welshman can do as he comes down now the hill. Swooping right-hander, brake as late as you possibly can. Let the car glide through these 2 left-handers. Don't invalidate on the exit. Oh, and he's had a bit of a moment in spin, and that'll ruin his lap time and any opportunity of him closing the gap. I think Jordan is next up on the softs. 3 tenths, just over 3 tenths of improvement, and he might be close to CJ, not quite Lewis Craig, unless he has a fantastic final sector. But we'll see. Jordan obviously did plenty of races in Season 2, plenty of races in Season 3, took that break, came back, won 3 Grand Prix. He's wanting pole position here in Imola tonight. Last Season 5 Constructors Champion, what can he do? It is pole for Jordan. Provisionally, Daniel will not improve, so he'll be second at best. It's Lewis Craig now. Up next, it looks like he's improving and finding time. Is the Alpine going to stick it on the front row of the grid and steal pole position away from Jordan? Yes, he is. It's a 15-4. CJH next up now that you'd imagine would be able to mount a challenge. Gamer James no better than for 5th place. Here comes CJ though, round the final corner. 2 race wins last week, 3 race wins all time. Will it be a pole position for him? No, not quite. He's on the front row, but not enough to beat Lewis. Looks like Sheck Wace has given up as well. Jake also. Chris Johnson is improving. I think Chris is the next driver up. That's improving. I think only Tony is now going to be able to mount a challenge. Oh no, Tony's finished as well, so that's him. It's only Chris to go on the run up to the line now. Chris will use the DRS for a boost, manages 8th place, knocks Jake down into 9th, and that is your Imola qualifying. It got very spicy towards the end, and the front 4 only separated by 0.3 of a second, and Daniel P. Wheelnut was the favourite to get pole, and I think he had a bit of a not a hissy fit in the chat, but said, oh, a fast driver's not racing tonight. He was very quick in that session, and I think he put himself down in the group chat a bit earlier. That was very quick, but it's this man here on your screen, Lewis Craig, the Flying Scotsman, picking up another pole position this season. And well, Lewis, he was a bit disheartened about CJ picking up 2 victories last week. And if he's going to want to mount a challenge to this title, he needs to pick up poles and pick up 6 points in his championship favour. Obviously a 1 point swing to Lewis tonight so far. CJ picks up 2 points in the qualifying. So it's Lewis Craig on pole, picks up 6 points, followed by CJH, who picks up 5. Jordan in 3rd with Daniel P. Wheelnut on the 2nd row of the grid. It's Acorn and then Gamer James with an impressive 6th place, with Wace in 7th, Chris Johnson in 8th. Jake and Tony round out the top 10, with Wet Lemons 11th, Kaya 12th, and Baza 13th, running out the qualifying time finisher. Scottish Scope 14th, but he is in his risk race, and Darky had a qualifying ban. So, the championship, CJH 191 points to his name in 1st place. Casper in 2nd on 170. Will not take part in any further competition this season. Jess Games in 3rd on 166. And she's not here tonight, unfortunately. Wi-Fi issues mean Jess won't make it, and that is detrimental to her championship hopes. Lewis Craig in 4th place, 162 points. He will move up to 3rd now with his qualifying points. Jordan in 5th on 154, with Daniel P. Wheelnut on 143. Jenga Boy, who will also no longer take any part in this season, on 136, with Acorn on 101 points. And if J.O. Mack in 95 and 9th, and Chris Johnson rounds out your top 10 on 90. And the Racing Bulls lead the constructors on 281, with Ferrari a bit behind on 238. It's Red Bull on 226 in 3rd. Williams on 187 in 4th. And then Lewis Craig all by himself, Alpine in 5th, 162 points. Lewis doing a fine job on his own at the moment. But he'll be hoping to try and improve on that. And he'll be wanting a teammate to try help him win the title. But we've got a few moments here before we get going. The driver's just having some strategy calls and getting the fuel loads right, making sure everything's in dandy order. But we'll see who will be the driver to watch. Is it going to be Lewis Craig or is it going to be CJH off the line? There's a bit of a run here at Imola. Could it be a track where Jordan or Daniel P. Wheelnut get the run that they've needed and get into 1st place off the line? It's not quite as long as Mexico, but it is fairly long. And Darky and J.O. Mack at the back, can they get through the grid and get up into a podium position? It's 5 red lights in Imola, and we're underway for round 13 of the DBF1 Season 6. Lewis Craig gets away well, but CJ's right on his tail on the medium compound for the top 2. They're going to be side by side coming into turn 1, and CJ leads from Lewis Craig. Daniel P. Wheelnut gets up into 3rd, Jordan in 4th, and James is hanging on to 5th place at the moment. Acorn is trying his best to defend from Waste for P6, but it looks like Waste is going to go down the inside. A good start from the defending champion. It looks like he's on his way out as DBF1 champion at the moment. And Scottish Goat has had a fantastic start. He's all the way up into 9th place. And he's looking to keep it 9th with Jake trying to battle his way for 10th. And it looks like Jake has managed to get back ahead. But the Scottish Goat going to try go down the inside and hasn't got the room there. Great start from CJ. Lewis Craig got the getaway right. But after that, CJ just advanced into his own world and managed to take the lead around the outside of turn 1. CJ leads from Lewis, and it looks like Wace is past James. Oh, they've made contact. They've clipped the front wing of the McLaren. And that might mean James needs to stop. It is heavy damage on the front wing of that McLaren. He's on the hard compound as well, so may have been going slow, trying to get some heat into the tyres. And yeah, James is in the bits. That's going to be a front wing change, and maybe a steward's inquiry later on. I think Wace is okay in terms of damage, but then we'll have to wait and see later on. And I tell you what, Darky and Jake, Darky's round, is he? I think he's managed to keep it on the island. Hopefully he keeps going. But Scottish Goat up into 8th place, double points. He's looking on fire earlier on in this race. Darky looked quick as well, but only 11th now after that moment. He's battling away with Baza, and it looks like he's gotten ahead here. He just needs to keep going. I think Darky has a bit of damage on that front wing as well, so not good for the Mercedes driver. Yeah, damage on the front wing of the Merc. He's got to keep going though and try get to that pit stop phase where he can get off the mediums and get a front wing as well. Doesn't want to go into the hards this early on in the race. It's a long way to go. Daniel though, sticking with Lewis and CJ. He's brinking on the verge of dropping out of that 1 second DRS zone. Lewis Craig was close to dropping out of that, but he's managed to get close to CJ again, and it's 4 attempts now as we begin the 3rd of 16 laps. Lewis sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as the top 2 starting to kind of drop the rest of the field now. This is kind of the championship battle we're expecting. Jess may be involved in it as well, but obviously not here unfortunately. So missing out, you'd imagine she'd be up with these 2 guys as well, keeping the 2 men honest. And yeah, Lewis just having to settle for P2 at the moment. Darky in the pits, so he's going to be going long. And obviously with that qualifying ban, that's what happens unfortunately. You get caught up in the midfield battles and you pick up damage fighting these guys that are obviously good drivers but not quite as quick as Darky is. And it's cost him unfortunately, so he'll have to think about his racecraft at Australia. And as you can't really see because of the trees, we're on board with the Alpine as he comes up the hill chasing the Racing Bulls of CGH. It's Scotland versus England, and England currently leading the way in the Championship and in the Grand Prix, and the Isle of Man are wanting a bit of action in this battle as well. He's closed back up, has Daniel, and well, mediums for the top 3, top 4, and I think Waste is on the mediums as well. Looks like it's going to be a medium to soft strategy. We'll get the strategy and tyres up, and the top 6 all on this medium compound tyre. Then you've got Scottish Goat, who obviously started in 14th place on the softs. He's doing his risk race tonight as Lewis closes the gap, but not enough to get ahead. Chris Johnson, the first of 4 runners on the hards, and Jake, Wet Lemons and James all on the mediums as well. Obviously James was forced onto the mediums and he's got a long way to go. James just going to have to be a damage limitation race for himself and get those mediums as long as he possibly can. Obviously no safety cars available in this race. Only 25% race. We've got the 35% Monza coming up your way. 1 shot quali followed by 35% opportunities of safety cars as well. Waste now, he's right on the back of Jordan. Waste, obviously we know his pace, 2 race wins to his name, season 5 champion. Obviously only picked up 1 race win all season last season. Jordan picked up 3. Jordan only did 8 races though. Maybe if Jordan was here the whole season we'd had a bit more of a battle, but Waste earned that championship and he's wanting to prove to everyone he's still got the pace, even though his first half of the season meant he can't defend the crown. He'll be wanting to keep the guys at the front honest, and if he can fix out his qualifying, he'd be well on course to mounting a challenge for race wins with his pace. And here he goes. Should be able to sail past the Williams here. The two drivers swapping positions, and it looks like Wace is up into the top 4 and going to mount a challenge now to Daniel P. Wheelnut if he can. Looks like Jake has gotten past Chris. Jake on the quicker compounded tyres at the moment in this phase of the race. I tell you what, Lewis Craig is close to CJ. He's gone. CJ's struggling out the corner. No traction on that Racing Bulls, and that might mean that Lewis can sneak down the inside. No, Lewis thinks better of it, and these two are mounting a serious challenge to each other here. And I think there might have been a bit of carbon fibre coming off either the rear wing or the front wing there of one of the cars. They're that close through this section, and it's just allowing Daniel to kind of hang on. Daniel, though, dropped now to 2 seconds. They've severely dropped him, and then if there's a battle coming the way of the top two, it might allow Daniel, Jordan and Wace the opportunity to close the gap and make this a 5-way battle for the victory. And this is the closest Lewis has been, 0.3 of a second now. You'd imagine there'd be DRS and there's ERS enabled. Can he close the gap, or has CJ got his number on the straight with the DRS? The Christmas tree blinking light there is on the Racing Bulls. Lewis Craig going to try and go round the outside. He just doesn't have the straight line speed on. They've made contact and Lewis is round. They've made contact and Lewis is in the gravel. Lewis has got to calm down here, not force himself back onto the track. And he's going to have to box and change that front wing. He's dropping down the order, and I'm not sure who was really at fault there. CJ's dropping in time to Daniel. Might be one for the stewards to look at later on. But yeah, Daniel now well and truly in this race. Has CJ got damage? CJ did go a bit wide, but I don't know if that's what caused him to go into Lewis. He went deep into the first turn, but I didn't see him cut across the track or anything. I just think it's one of those corners, 2 into 1 doesn't go. We'll have to wait and see what the two drivers think later on, but this could be crucial in the championship battle. CJ now, if he wins this race, would pick up massive points in comparison. Daniel P. Wheelnut in the pits. We'll watch him. Daniel is one of the drivers that likes to go on for the hard compound. And Ferrari, yep, the hard's on that Ferrari. And he'll go to the end now. His teammate also in the pits. What's it going to be for Scottish Goat? Off come the softs, on go the mediums. So the Ferrari's double stacking. And I don't think Scottish Goat actually lost much time. And he's not going to lose any places here. That might have been a great strategy call from Ferrari. Lewis Craig in, he got his front wing changed, and I imagine he'll be hard to the end now. And unfortunately for Lewis, he's going to have to overtake James. Yeah, Lewis needs to overtake James, Kaya and Darky here. It's going to be a long second stint for Lewis on those hards, but yeah, Lewis needs a good result. And not picking up the win, which he was on course to at least be top 2 in a podium. He's got a big recovery drive coming his way, and he's getting battles as well. He's right on the back of James, and it's just not ideal situation for Lewis at the moment. But Wace in the pits now, maybe trying to cover up, well, not cover off, but not allow Daniel to sneak away as much. Jordan, you'd imagine, will come in next time round. And the top drivers going on to the hards. I thought it would be a soft compound race going off the practice we did on Monday, but drivers preferring the hard compound at this phase of the Grand Prix. Obviously the likes of Lewis and Darky forced into that, but yeah, Wace and Daniel going that route. That's what Jordan trying to avoid, with Deck actually closing in. Acorn Deck, he's closing in on Jordan here. He could be on for a good result as well. These guys are going to have to come into the pits soon. CJ now going the long game. He obviously had about 2... He was only about a second actually ahead Actually, James is retired in the pits. Maybe damage from Lewis Craig. That might have been rear wing damage that cost him. So hopefully that's not the case. But then we'll see James in the second race of the night later on at Monza. But CJ, you'd imagine he was quite about within a second of Daniel. So you'd expect him in, because you don't want Daniel, who's had clean air, to kind of overtake you in the undercut, and CJ is. So we'll watch Daniel now, who's had clean air his whole time he's been out. This is obviously his second lap now, so the hard compound are up to speed, they're in temperature. He's not quite caught up to Baz until now, so the turbulent air may be affecting him. And obviously Jess in the chat, welcome to Jess. Obviously correct, Lewis Craig, not ideal being in traffic. He's got a bit of clean air now though, and hopefully Lewis can close that gap to Jake and get ahead, and we'll see what he can do later on. And there we go, Daniel is in the net lead of the Grand Prix. CJ has gone one lap too long, and he's come out on the hards as well, and he's just ahead of Waste by about 2.5 seconds. And you'll have the tyre deficit here, CJ, and the pace you'd imagine to close up to Daniel. But Daniel at the moment, provisional P1. Keep going, Daniel, keep the head down. And maybe the Red Bull sister team, is he going to allow this to be an easy pass for CJ? You'd imagine not, as Tony passes CJ's teammate Chris for P3 on the road. But yeah, obviously CJH battling away for the title. Baza won't make this too easy for him, you'd imagine. Obviously Baza in race number 78 and 79 tonight as they come head on in the hairpin, and Baza did not make that easy at all for CJH, letting CJ know, if you're going to go around me, you're going to have to go the long way around, and CJ did manage to do so. And 3 seconds the gap between P1 and P2, the net P1 and P2, Daniel and CJ. Daniel can well and truly do this. 7 laps of racing. Can Daniel hang on here and pick up his first race win in DBF1 history? Baz, obviously, I was saying, race 78 and 79 for him tonight, 1 off 80. He's part of the furniture in here in this league, and he's doing a good job up in 6th place, the lone Red Bull tonight. Daniel pre-wheeling that. Doing a good job, but CJ closing that gap now. 5 temps this lap, but he's got some clean air. Pardon me if you heard me burp. But yeah, 2.5 seconds. He's closing that gap. And obviously, the main thing here for Daniel is win the race if you can. Don't take out CJ. And if you can't hang on to the win, then you could be on course for a win here, barring any stewarding inquiries later on. But he's definitely on for a P2. So the top 3 to box, Acorn in the pits now. Baza is the only other driver left to stop. As we'll keep the stops up for a little bit. Daniel going to cross the line. Leading the Grand Prix. It's 1.6 now, the gap. CJ closing in rapidly to Daniel. Maybe CJ hoping that this Lewis Craig incident doesn't affect later on. Might have been Lewis's fault. We'll have to wait and see the replays later on. But Daniel doing what he needs to do. He's leading the race. He's losing time to CJ, but he just needs to hang on, keep the battery in ERS, because as everyone says, it's one thing to get close, it's another to overtake. Jordan going very deep in this race in those mediums, so he's obviously going to go into the softs. And CJ is just so fast at this phase of the race. 1.5 now that gap. Darky actually in 5th place. Fair play to Darky. He kept going after that contact, and he's done a fantastic job because he is in P5 now. And Scottish Goat as well. You've got to give credit to these two. Darky obviously had the qualifying ban. Scottish Goat, obviously his wrist race, so he's scoring double points. Lewis Craig has got the best double points result of the season in 3rd. Can Scottish Goat get close? He's just picked up 5th because Darky's got a 3-second time penalty. And Acorn as well, someone to watch out for having a good second stint. He's on the softs as we're on board with the Aston, and he's in 7th place and got a long way to go in this race. He can pick up a few more places. And Scottish Goat and Darky. But if these drivers, Scottish Goat, Acorn and Baza, can keep it between the white lines, they're going to score some good points. And Baza looking down the inside, just keeping him honest now. And that is CJ within 1 second, and that will give him DRS. And we'll check the ERS deployment. Daniel using a fair bit more to try and stay ahead of CJ. But CJ, you'd imagine if he can get close enough, that kind of gap needs to be about 0.3 of a second to overtake and have it done securely. But then we'll have to wait and see. The Ferraris on for a good result tonight in the Constructors. They're second place, battling the Racing Bulls. And then that is Scottish Goat past Darky, who's actually round. So not good for Darky. Hopefully he keeps going. And then that is Jordan in the pits now. This is it though. Lap 13 about to begin. It's CJ and Daniel for the lead of the Imola Grand Prix. Who is going to lead come turn number 1? It looks like it's going to be CJ. He's got so much closing speed and he sails past. It was a good strategy call from Daniel. He's had some good pace, but just not enough in the tank at the moment. But still 4 laps of racing to go here and plenty of opportunities. As yeah, Jess is correct, Baz still to stop. So Baz is going to drop down a few places once he comes into the pits. And then Darky coming in to the pit lane. And will that be him calling it a day? Or will he keep going to the end? We'll have to wait and see. CJ though leading the way over 1 second now to Daniel. It was a great race, Daniel. He did the strategy to perfection, but that just kind of tyre deficit that CJ's put himself in has just allowed him to sail off into the sunset after passing. And hopefully maybe Daniel can close the gap back up. Someone we've not spoken about in a while, Lewis Craig. 9th place in a recovery drive at the moment. He's close to the back of Tony and Jake. You'd imagine he should be able to get past the 2 drivers ahead. And hopefully not driving angry. Hopefully can recover for Monza. Something you're just going to have to wait and see though. There goes Jordan though, on Acorn, and it looks like it might be Lewis's turn on Tony and maybe on Jake as well. A double overtake for Lewis Craig, and that might allow Tony to sneak up the inside of Jake as well. There was a bit of love tapping, but nothing really Tony could do about that. He took the opportunity, and if he didn't go for that move, he might have been banned from Dive Bomb F1. And Tony now up into 8th place as Lewis gets up into 7th. And 2.3 now the gap to Acorn with 3 laps to go. Needs a mighty few laps to close that down and pick up some points. Scottish Goat though, 4th place. Fantastic from him. He's got Jordan all over the back of him on fresh rubber. So you'd imagine that Jordan might get him and Acorn. But this at the moment is on course with no safety car, where Lewis did have the safety car. This is fantastic from Scottish Goat. Even a top 6 would be a great result as CJ starts his final lap, penultimate lap of the session. It could be Jordan making a move though. He'll open a DRS. He has a fair bit more battery, and Scottish Goat, knowing that this isn't a race for him, lets Jordan through. He knows what he's on for. He's going to get double points, and 2.3 second gap now to Acorn. You'd imagine he should be able to hang on to 5th place here and pick up 20 points, which would be fantastic. I think that might be, barring Lewis, the best race we've had as a risk race. He's on course for a great result. He just needs to hang on, but you can see the chasing pack. Acorn, Lewis, Tony and Jake, they're wanting a bit of double-digit points tonight, and it will be, yeah, Jess is right, it will be interesting to see. Obviously, Jail Mac, 9th place on 95 points, would jump up a fair bit of the order with 20 points to his name. Would put him on 115. Now, it would only jump him up 1 place, but then it would close him in and to everyone else around. And Lewis now almost within a second. This is it though. If he's not within a second, yeah, he's not going to get DRS. This is it for Lewis Craig. If he's going to get 6th place, it has to be this lap. 1 lap to go around Imola, ladies and gentlemen. 1 lap to go. Who is going to come out on top in these battles? Lewis Craig closing the gap, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough for 6th place for him, unfortunately. Tony and Jake battling away, but Jake not quite able to get ahead at this phase. Plenty of corners to go though. Not many overtaking opportunities left though. Tony sort of weaving down the mini straight there, and not really what Jake would have been wanting, but not illegal, as he had wasn't in the braking. So Lewis picking it 5 attempts, 4 attempts to gap, 3 attempts to gap. He's closing so much, but he's just stuck staring at the back of Acorn's rear wing, and he's just not close enough. And there's not many overtaking opportunities left, but it has been this man. And Lewis picks up a time penalty. Disaster. Round the final corner goes CJH. It's 3 wins in a row and a championship lead extension for CJH. Daniel picks up another podium in DBF1. Wace is disconnected but will finish 3rd place. Jordan is going to come home for 4th. And it looks like Scottish Gold is going to hold on to 5th place with Acorn and Lewis battling it out, but Acorn comes ahead. Tony in 7th, Lewis Craig in 8th, Jake in 9th. It might be 10th though, it is 10th. Chris Johnson in 9th, Jake 10th. Wet Lemons in his return to racing picks up 10th. Sorry, Jake dropped another place. Baza will come home in 12th, and Darky will be 13th. Oh, Baza's a bit of an off. And Kaya picks up 14 points. Yeah, CJH picks up 3 wins in a row. Obviously, we'll give him the race win. We don't know. We've seen what happened between CJ and Lewis. So, we don't know if that's going to go to the stewards. We don't know if Lewis is going to accept blame. We don't know if CJ is going to take the blame. Or if it was just a racing incident. We got it off a pretty bad view on the stream. So we'll wait and see. Will this change the result? It would only drop CJ to 3rd if it did, because that is the result in Dive Bomb. You'd get a 2-place drop. He still picks up a big advantage on Lewis there. And with no Jess tonight, CJ surely in the driver's seat now to pick up the DBF1 championship. But there's plenty of time to go. Jordan is correct. Yeah, he put in the chat then. Didn't he get 5th in his race? And he did. I just double checked that quickly. So, oh, sorry, I skipped the podium celebration there, CJ. Apologies for that. But yeah, Jordan picked up 5th place in his risk race also. So, we'll get the results in the app and we'll get some updated championship results. And see how we do. But we've got a couple of moments for the next race, and Baza will give everyone the go-ahead. So I'm going to take a quick break as I'm on my own and my voice will not handle talking through the whole gap. So we'll see you in a few moments. So, we are back. It's one shot qualifying. We're watching Jordan around Monza. That's who the game gave us, so we're going to stick with him as we begin the fastest qualifying of DBF1 Season 6. Jordan now the run up to the line. Seems to have a bit more wing than everyone else because he's down in 15th place. Darky obviously broke the pole record last week and picked up 10 pole positions. Jordan struggling in this early phase of this lap at the moment. We'll see what he'll do though. He's jumping up the order now. Scottish Coat and the Tifosi are looking pretty happy at the moment through the first two sectors though. And the two that started at the back in Imola are at the front here at Monza, where there's still half the lap to go though. And this would throw some fire into the wood and spice up the action if one of those two can stick it on pole after starting 15th and 14th respectively last race. Jordan through Ascari now. He's picked up some places in the second part of the lap to put him up to 7th. Lewis Craig jumping up the order to 4th. Can he close in and pick up a second pole in 2 races? CJH is down in 5th. Wace has dropped down the order. I think no, Wace is up into 4th. Scottish Goat is dropping down the order though. Looks like it's going to be Darky. No, it's Lewis. No, it is Darky. Massively Darky. Don't know why it put Lewis on my screen for a moment. Jordan only managing 5th place though at the moment in that qualifying. So Darky, 10 pole positions makes that 11. Darky on pole for the 11th time in DBF1. Scottish Goat only managed 3rd as Lewis pipped him to 2nd in the end. CGH in 4th. Jordan in 5th. Jake 5th. 6th, sorry. Daniel 7th with Wace 8th. James 9th and Acorn rounding out the top 10. That is your qualifying for 35% of Monza. It looks gloomy. Could we see some rain? And we've had rain before at Monza and it was an absolute disaster back in Season 2. Obviously the Matter picked up the championship win in Season 2 all them years ago, back in 2020 when it was F1 2019. Looks sunny though today in the Grand Prix. Doesn't look gloomy as it did in qualifying. So the drivers will have a bit of a moment on the grid. No one will ready up or they'll have the drop place penalty given to them. So Baza, the kind of coordinator or the host, he'll give the go-ahead in the group chat and the drivers will get racing then. Darky though, interesting fact, in 10 pole positions, Darky's picked up 4 wins. He's never won a Grand Prix unless he was on pole. 43% conversion rate from pole to win. So Darky could be on to make that just a bit closer to the 50% mark. And if he's going to win a race, he does it from pole. So could Darky pick up another win? Obviously, should have 5 wins, but Jez kind of cursed him into crashing at Canada. But the less we speak about that, the better. And then Williams Team Radio letting us know that they didn't open Jordan's DRS. So DRS issues for Williams in the qualifying. Will that translate to the Grand Prix? Hopefully not. So we're on the grid for the Italian Grand Prix. Is 5 red lights. And away we go. It's Darky versus Lewis off the line with a Ferrari looking to go down the inside as well. Looks like Lewis has gotten better away of the two, and CJ now going to try make a move into turn 1. Lewis needs to avoid any drama this time round, and it looks like he has just. And Wace is off the track and going through all the pylon boards. And that is a disaster of a start for Wace, but Lewis leads from Durkee, and then it's Scottish Goat followed by CJ, who looks like he's going to try and make the move. Oh no, it's CJ that's gone round this time. Completely off the track. Is there going to be a safety car? No, looks like we're back in green flag conditions. And Jake is up in 3rd. He's sneaked through all of that. Fantastic from Jake. Goes a bit wide though, might have picked up a warning. CJ down in 9th place though. Obviously picked up the win around Monza here last season. And so Lewis was in the drama with CJ in the last race. And this time, CJ in the drama again, down the order. The McLarens, though, going well. It's Jake in third, Gamer James in sixth. Looks like Lewis is going to lose the lead of the Grand Prix. 19 laps, though, of racing coming your way. And Lewis will try keep that gap as honest as he can. And oh, what a slingshot Lewis has got there off the Parabolica. And that will put him back into the lead of the Grand Prix, surely. Yeah, it does. Fantastic, but he's going to be side by side. And then Darky seems to be lagging a wee bit in terms of on my screen. Whether or not that'll be affecting Lewis, we'll be finding it later on. Wace obviously cut the corner. Maybe had to cut the corner. So if he doesn't pick up any more warnings, which is a big ask, possibly pick up the win there. Lewis is side by side now with Darky, and Lewis needs to avoid any contact as Wace gets past Jake. And I know Lewis wants to win. He's 46 points behind CJH after the last round. In Imola, 46 points is that gap, but CJ's 8th now. Lewis has to think about the championship. And he needs to win races to close the gap. But at the end of the day, if you're going to get taken out, you need to hang on and pick up as many points as you can. And Lewis, there's better overtaking opportunities coming your way. Wace, obviously, we've seen him get past Jake, and Jake on for a good result here in 4th at the moment, but he's got Scottish Goat all over the back of him. Scottish Goat on for 2 good results. And as you see everyone filing through, looks like CJH has managed to get the tyre temps down because he's up into 8th and he was 9th, so he's past Tony somewhere on lap 2, and then hopefully CJ can climb back up the order now and close that gap. And it looks like Scottish Goat is closing up on Jake. Way sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and it looks like Scottish Goat closing in to 4th place at the moment. Started 3rd, has damage on that front wing, so we missed that. And will he get a better traction than the McLaren? You can't really see, and he does, so he's ahead of that McLaren now, as Lewis is passed by Darky, and then this battle for the lead could go on for the remaining laps of this race. And then these two, they're 3 seconds ahead. I think they're just helping each other now at this phase in the race. Oh, Darky, go through with the DRS. Oh, Lewis, go through with the DRS. And then so on and so forth. They'll just allow each other to overtake until they get to lap 19 or the pit stops. And then that's when they'll go for it, because they don't want to battle and cost each other time here and close up. Don't want to allow someone like Wace the opportunity of picking up the win. And yeah, that lag is, if that is on Lewis's end as it is mine, going to be struggling Lewis with that sort of lag at the moment. Hopefully isn't on Lewis's screen, no, hopefully just the stream. As Scottish Goat seen Wace use all the tarmac available around the Parabolica. McLaren's though 5th and 6th, they've had a poor start to the season. And they're dead last in the constructors, but they're fighting here at Monza, Italy, for a good result. And Jordan might be on course here to take a position from James. And it looks like Daniel Piwil that's going to get past Tony. Daniel had a good quali, but I think he got dropped down the order as Baza forced off by Chris, and I think Wet Lemons was forced off on him. Oh, Baza unfortunately pushed off there. That gave him a 10-second time penalty, a bit unfair. And we'll see. Obviously, he has to pit, so can't be removed, unfortunately. As Scottish Wace is in the gravel. Not sure if that was on his own or if that was himself, but Lewis got back past Darky, and it looks like Darky looking down the inside of a Scary. But Darky is crazy, but he's not that crazy. He'll come down the back straight, no DRS to help him here. As you see the Ferrari and the McLaren in the background. Yeah, no DRS to help you around this part. You go round Parabolica, slingshot off the final corner, and you should, with the DRS and maybe a bit of battery assistance, should pass the Alpine here. And if you aren't bored of it already, Darky is re-overtaking Lewis for the lead. Scottish Goat now up into a podium place, needs to hang on behind Jake. He does, and James was close to getting past Jordan, but not quite able to do so. Looks like Chris is going to get past Baza this time. And yeah, he does. And Baza having to serve that 10-second time penalty. Annoying. But Chris is probably going to see one coming his way later on if Baza chooses to report it. And if he finishes within 10 seconds of Chris, you'd imagine he would. Daniel keeping James honest. He's caught back up onto the back of him now. And James in 6th doing a good job. But 6 might be turning to 7th. Lewis Craig through Ascari now. Not quite in position to make a move. 65% battery to his disposal, and he'll be saving that down this straight. To then dump a little bit of it off now, and he's doing that indeed. Opens up the DRS in about 50 metres, and you'll see him absolutely sail past. Get off the overtake button, Lewis, please, and he does. Lewis back up into the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. This is a good battle between Darky and Lewis. This is the battles we know Darky can have. They're clean and they're exciting. We know Darky's got the pace to challenge the likes of Lewis and CJ, and we just want to see that every week. We don't want to see any drama, and he's not providing that at the moment. Or if he is providing drama, it's good drama. From Darky. CJ, fastest lap of the Grand Prix. I seen Waste pick up a 10-second pit lane penalty, so that'll be added to his time at the end of the session. And at the moment, only 2 10-second time penalties, no penalty 3-second corner cutting penalties at the moment. You might see that come around Ascari in this later part of the race, when the concentration maybe lacks and the tiredness creeps in after 2 races and 2 qualies. But yeah, as we come to start lap number 7, is it round number 7? Not many boxing fights have 19 rounds, but we might have 19 rounds coming your way here in Dive Bomb tonight. Darky and Lewis, he's closing that gap. But I tell you what, he's far enough behind where Lewis is okay. So is that the first blow to Darky's hopes? Is that a 10-8 round to Lewis Craig in his favour? Is Darky going to be able to make the move here into turn number 4? No. Advantage Lewis Craig at the moment then. He hangs on for the first time in 7 laps. We haven't had an overtake for the lead. And then obviously you still have the run to Ascari to come with the DRS. And Darky, a bit of a moment there. Darky just needs to keep the concentration here and stick on with Lewis. If he loses Lewis and loses that DRS, it might be goodnight Vienna to his hopes of winning this race. And if I tell you what, in Dive Bomb, if there's anyone you don't want in front of you in a Grand Prix, it's Lewis Craig. You do not want to be chasing Lewis Craig for a victory, but this might be Darky's best opportunity at a win and his only opportunity at a win this season. And if he needs to beat Lewis Craig to do that, he needs to get the job done. And he's a Mercedes driver. If he wants the promotion to a better team next season or wants to keep that seat, he needs to show them what he's got, and that is Lewis Craig in. Oh, and Lewis has got 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Oh, man. I've just been praising him. God's sake. I've just been giving him all the praise in the world, and he goes and shows me what a twat I truly am. Lewis Craig, 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And that is... Oh, CJ is down the order. And that might just have allowed him back into the grasp of Lewis. The 46-point deficit here. Lewis needs to pick up points on CJ, and he might be in danger. With the safety cars enabled as well, there's every chance in the world this could be catastrophic. Lewis Craig needs to get an absolute move on, or hope that he has the same issue he had early on in the season where he was under the limit. But because he had blue revs, it gave him a penalty. And in Dive Bomb, if you're under the limit and have blue revs, you'll get the time penalty removed. But Lewis Craig will have to wait and see, and that's only, of course, if Lewis doesn't stop again. If he too stops this race, and he serves the time penalty, he won't be able to get it removed. So that's truly, Darky has got it all in his hands at the moment, but we've seen that before on how it's ended, and it's not been great. Scottish Goat now up into P2, 6 seconds back. He's keeping Jake around about 8 tenths behind him. as Darky now comes into the pits. Will we see Scottish Goat and Jake? Yeah, this is the pit window. Oh, and Scottish Goat's got a 10-second time penalty. What's going on in Dive Bomb F1 tonight and Monza? It's usually Imola everyone picks up the penalty, and everyone's in the pits here. Usually it's Imola that causes the carnage with the pit lane, and then Lewis ahead of Darky. So Lewis Craig did the undercut, stopped first, and that has allowed him to remain in a net P1. Obviously Darky 3.3 seconds adrift. And then with the time penalty to Lewis, Darky's on course for a win here. Tell you what though, Baza all over the back of Jack. And then Chris Johnson, as far as my knowledge is aware, is the leader. No, sorry, Jake's the leader in DB2 at the moment at this phase of the race, who's stopped. The top four still to stop. Jake leading the way, obviously on course for 4th. But for the DB2 standings, is on course for the race victory. So Jake on course to be a winner as well in Dive Bomb 2. And a 4th place in DBF1, that would be fantastic if he can pull that off. So go on, Jake, keep going. Don't pick up the penalty. Scottish Goat with that penalty as well. He's on for a podium here, and Lewis Craig's got the penalty, so he might be on course for an extra podium. It looks like Scottish Goat has either passed CJ or CJ's got him ahead. Yeah, it looks like CJ has been passed by Scottish Goat. Jake now closing in. And well, the Parabolica is just where CJ's going round. Lewis Craig is about 150 metres away from turn 1. It's going to be a big ask for Lewis to get ahead of CJ. He might need CJ to pick up a penalty here. And it's not going Lewis Craig's way in this championship. He had it in his hands tonight in the second race. Maybe not in the first race, but he's thrown it away. He needs to keep going though and doing what he can. He's gaining time on Darky, so he's pulling away. He needs that sort of Netherlands performance a couple of seasons ago where he won by 10 seconds. He needs a perfection stint, which he did. He had that 10-second penalty and then broke it and won by 11 seconds. Or he needs that TGP performance in Monaco, that famous night in Monaco where he won by 25 seconds. He needs something like that again, and if there's anyone that can do it, it's him. CJ though's been passed by Jake. CJ's struggling. CJ stopped early though, didn't he? So maybe his tyres are fading away. Has he got damage on that car? No. Waste picks up a penalty. Yeah, CJ's struggling. I think he stopped early in the session, I think, CJ. And we'll see how long he's been on his tyres. Yeah, he's been on those tyres 7 laps compared to Jake and Daniel and Scottish Goat all 1 or 2. So only Acorn and Chris to stop, and Acorn's just come in now. CJH is on the mediums. Yeah, CJH is in again. So this is a second stop for CJ now. He knows they're not going to go to the end. That sort of incident at the start, he'll go medium to medium. Now that's a 2-stop race. And CJ in trouble here. So he's done his 2 stops now, CJ, and that spits him out to only scoring a point. 5 seconds back on Baza. This is it for Lewis. He's going to stay ahead of CJ no matter what now. He needs to sort of break this tie. He's going to be second. He might lose the race victory though. He's got that gap to Scottish Goat that he needs. And Jess is saying maybe the title fight's not over. Maybe it isn't. Lewis Craig not doing what he needs to do in Imola. And CJH not doing what he needs to do in Monza. Lewis Craig now finally retakes the lead on track. And he leads the way. 3.1 is the gap now to Darky. Lewis does have the gap to Scottish Goat. He's 15 seconds back. 13 seconds back. Lewis needs to get the foot down. And well, maybe he's just accepted that he'll beat Scottish Goat and Daniel but won't beat Darky. Jordan and Gamer James battling away. Looks like Jordan's going to come out on top in that battle at the moment in this phase of the race, and he does indeed. James maybe looking down the inside, had a wee sniff, but nothing doing. And Tony's actually pretty close to the back of Deck. These two are first and second in the DB2 Championship, and they extended their leads, obviously picking up first and second in the first race tonight. But Jake on course for his first DB2 win, and then he's picked up a 3-second time penalty as well, with Waste chasing him behind. And James is on course for a good result in Dive Bomb 2 as well. Looks like a 3-second time penalty for Scottish Go will promote Daniel to the podium. Second and third for Daniel would be fantastic. I think he got second and third last week as well. So if he can do that again, that'd be great for him. It wasn't last week. I think it was the week before, because Daniel had his risk race at Monaco, as Waste decides to redesign the first turn of Monza. The CGH will set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and he's right on the back of Baza, and that boots him up into 2 points, and then a third point for the fastest lap. So 10 seconds now to Tony. Big ask. If anyone can do it though, CJ definitely got the pace too. Jordan on the back for on Waste. Waste struggling at this phase. Jordan with no time penalties. You'd imagine Waste won't fight it too much. Yes, Jess is right. It was the week before we had the mid-season break. He picked up second and third for Singapore and Abu Dhabi. Then had his risk race in Monaco. And that's a McLaren off and in the barrier. I think he's managed to hang on though, James. That was a scary moment for a few seconds. Jordan now though passes Waste and up into 6th place. I think that's Wet Lemon's trying to make a move on James as well, who might be trying to recover from that heart attack. And oh, they've spun. There was a bit of contact, and that is Wet Lemon's round. Oh, and Lewis and Darky are battling. Or is he? What's happened there? I was about to say, Lewis has gone off because he was 2 seconds ahead. I think that was just a glitch on the timing screens. Lewis still leads the way. So it's Lewis from Darky 2.3. So Darky is closing in now. And I think Lewis just knows that this race is all about finishing second. And then Waste, there's battles happening further. But oh, have we got a safety car? We've got a safety car. Lewis Craig needs to box for soft compounded tyres. And do not get a time penalty here. Safety car in Monza, ladies and gentlemen. This will get rid of Lewis's penalty. This will bring CJ back into the fold. And well, it's lap 15. You'd expect 16, 17 behind the safety car. We could have 2 laps of racing here to decide who wins this Grand Prix. And Darky now in. Softs go on his car. He'll take the lead. No, Daniel's staying out. So's Jake. Lewis Craig, they're working on his car now. Lewis didn't speed. No, he's safe. And it will come out. Will he come out ahead of CJ? Yeah, definitely. So Jake and Daniel decided not to pit. They're thinking that the safety car will go until, you'd think, 16, 17. Doubt it would go any later than 17. So you got 18 and 19 of racing. Maybe even 17, 18, 19. Because look at the safety car stop the cars. Because everyone came into the pits. That's good for Lewis though, he's got rid of that penalty. And he's got 9 to worry about now. Yes, he's in 4th. But he can pass Darky in those fresh softs. And it's worth the risk. Well, Daniel, maybe not worth the risk for Daniel, because Daniel was on for P3. Jake, you can understand, yes. And I tell you what, is CJH on fresh softs? I don't think he is. No, so CJ's on used mediums, Baz is on used hards. Dark Shadow hasn't stopped for some reason. Jake and Daniel stayed out, they're on hards. So they're going to be struggling off this safety car restart. Yeah, so CJ's gone for track position here, in thinking that Baza is not someone that's easy to overtake, talking from experience of racing with Baza for over 7 years. He can see Lewis. His mediums are worn, but not in the sense that he's going to be in trouble from behind in the beginning, because he's got Baza as a rear gunner. I just think Daniel was on for P3. I think that's such a big risk. I think that's such a big risk from Daniel when he was on for a third place. Jake, I understand, because he's only got one go at this, really. He's not been up there for podiums this season. Picked up a podium last season, but it's risky from Daniel, but you love to see the risk taken. Maybe thinking he's got Jake behind, he can peel away, build a gap, and hopefully hang on. Maybe that's his thinking. CJ will have good temperatures in his mediums, and they don't need to be rubbered in. Chess is saying CJ's going to win. I don't think he'll get past Lewis on fresh rubber, fresh softs. Lewis Craig will be a scary man to have ahead or behind him on fresh softs. And then Darky's there, a safety car in. So we're going to have 17, 18 and 19. 3 laps of racing, and if I'm not mistaken, we'll only have 1 lap of DRS. Daniel, the Tifosi are going to be so excited. Maybe that's why he's done it. Tifosi Power have got him in P1. Can he hang on worn hards? He basically becomes the safety car now. Then it's Jake, it's Darky, Lewis and CJ. Passes him 6th. And I think Baza, he stayed out, so there won't be another safety car. Daniel's gone. What drama is going to unfold here later on? They're going to be about 5 wide going into turn 1. Who's going to be the biggest winner? Who's going to be the biggest loser? Looks like CJ's going to go down the inside of Lewis. Oh, and there's big contact. Big contact. Lewis is at a bit of an issue. CJH has gotten past Lewis Craig. In terms of the championship, that is massive. Lewis needs to get back on these guys and battle away. Darky, CJ and Daniel battling for the lead. Daniel got a good restart, but it's not enough. He's got damage on that front wing, and Darky leads the race. Lewis Craig and CJ battling away now. This is the championship, ladies and gentlemen. CJ was down the order. He somehow managed to stay out on those mediums. 2 stop in this race. He's got Lewis Craig all over the back of him, but he's going to try and overtake Daniel Piwuna into a Scary. Can the guys avoid drama? Lewis Craig is trying to make his move. He knows he needs to get past here. What a move that is from Lewis Craig. And he slingshots. He might get onto the back of CJ here. And you'd imagine that Lewis Craig will manage to pass CJ. And something that looked like it was going to be at least a 15-point swing in favour of Lewis might only be 3. He is past CJ now. And it's all now for the win. Lewis Craig needs to go 2 seconds, 2 laps to pass Darky. Daniel has dropped behind Jake, and he's got damage, so I don't know if that is affecting him as much of those. Waste is he's retired from the session. Daniel now dropping down the order. This guaranteed P3 he had. Oh, it wasn't worth the risk for Daniel. He should have boxed, and that's going to affect him in the standings. He's got Jordan all over the back of him now. And Jordan passes him as well on fresh rubber. Jake, though, doing fantastic. And Baza, 4th and 5th. They're hanging on for dear life, the McLaren and the Red Bull. They both have penalties, But will it matter in the end? They're doing it for pride as well. And yeah, Dan's dropped at 8. If he was in third, I should have boxed. Lewis Craig, 1.8. He's not doing enough, Lewis, to close the gap. It's such a big ask for him to win this Grand Prix now. He'll be devastated with that safety car. At least if he was second and CJ was 13th, he would have picked up at least 16 points on his title rival. He's only going to pick up 3 now. And as we start the final lap, can Darky hang on this time? Fastest lap of the Grand Prix set by Lewis. An extra point headed his way. So it's a 4-point swing at the moment. The gap will go to 42 points. And with 6 to go after this race, Lewis Craig is going to need some Max Verstappen F1 2025 results between now and the end of the season to mount a challenge for this title. Jess obviously still in play. She'll be a bit further behind. She's 51 points, 51 points behind. So she's got a bit of a challenge, but she'll do what she can. It's just, the race wasn't going CJ's way, and it's just turned on its head with that safety car and allowed him to finish on the podium somehow. And he'll take that with every pinch of salt that he can be offered. But Darky converts another pole position into a race win. He wins in Monza, and Lewis Craig will come home in P2. CJH somehow is on the podium with Jordan in 4th place. Acorn takes another victory in Dive Bomb 2 with 5th. Jake in 6th place. Baza in 7th. Wet Lemon in 8th. And well, oh man. CJ stopped for mediums. He had to stop again. It was over. He was only in 13th. He was not getting any higher than that. And in a late safety car means that he finishes on the podium. Oh, fair play to CJH. Fair play to Lewis and Darky, who gave us some great driving as well in that first stint and second stint. But it's the Mercedes driver that comes out on top, and Darky finally wins in Season 6, and that brings him up to 5 Dive Bomb race wins all time. 11 poles, 5 wins. All of his wins have come from pole position, Darky. He doesn't win unless he's on pole, and he's on pole tonight, and he's on the top step of that podium. And it's the 3 fastest drivers on the night that round out the podium for the final time. Lewis Craig picks up the fastest lap of the race, meaning that'll be an extra point in his favour. Unfortunately, though, it has to end somewhere, and it ends tonight with 6 races to go, ladies and gentlemen. Still coming your way in Dive Bomb this season. We've got Canada and Brazil next week. We've then got Spain and Miami, and then we've got, is it Miami? Spain and Miami? Spain and Miami the following week, and then 3rd of December we round the season with Las Vegas and the Hungaroring. Could we have a Hungaroring championship decider? It's the first time ever we've got Hungary as the finale of DBF1, and well, I tell you what, if you're only 2 points behind with Hungary being the final track, it's going to be tight. It's Monaco without the walls to come, but that has been Dive Bomb for tonight. Lewis Craig unable to pick up the win. Darky ended CJ's streak. Acorn picked up 2 wins in Dive Bomb 2. And Jess returns next week, hopefully. We'll see you next week, and we've got plenty more action to come. With Season 7 also starting in January, we've got so much more Dive Bomb action coming your way. Gran Turismo returns as well soon. We'll see. Maybe we'll have the wonderful Jess Games returning into the commentary box for Gran Turismo, or maybe we'll have myself in there too. But Gran Turismo coming next year along with Season 7. But that's been it for the Italian Grand Prix tonight. Tune in next week. It's Canada, it's Brazil. CJH is risk race next week, so he'll be at the back for Canada. So make sure you watch that one.